The chamber of the Galactic Council was grand and full of light, but today the room felt cold. All the leaders of the galaxy were present, proud, calm, and sure of their power. They sat high on floating chairs, looking down at the old alien, who stood before them. His long white robes dragged across the crystal floor, and his voice was weak, but his eyes were full of fire. "They are coming," he said slowly, "and none of you are ready." The council members looked at each other, confused. "Who is coming?" asked one of the generals with a laugh. "Humans," the old elder replied. "The ones from Earth." Laughter filled the chamber. Someone even clapped slowly, mocking him. Humans. A leader from the Sarith Empire said, "That backward species, they live on one planet." "Not anymore," whispered the elder. "They have ships now, and they are not like us," another voice snapped. "You speak as if they're gods." The elder shook his head. "No, they are worse." He held up a small glowing cube, and it projected an old battle, one that had been erased from most records. In the video, 100 Sarith warriors charged into a human trench shouting, but none of them came back. The humans didn't have big guns, didn't have shields. They fought with fire, traps, and clever tricks, and they won. The video stopped, and silence filled the chamber. "Ancient history," muttered a council tech. "This is from over 200 years ago." "Exactly," said the elder. "They were this dangerous then, before they even had space travel. They are unstoppable now." One leader stood up, bored. "What do you suggest we do? Beg them to stay away?" "Yes," the elder said simply. "Because if they come, you will not have time to beg." But no one listened. The council leader, a tall alien with golden skin and sharp eyes, rose from his throne. He raised a hand and said, "This council thanks you for your warning." Then he turned his back. The guards gently guided the elder out of the room. As he left, the elder whispered, "You are laughing now, but you won't laugh for long." Far away, on the edge of the galaxy, the human ship Invictus floated silently in deep space. It looked like a beast. Black armor, sharp edges, no windows, no lights. It wasn't built to explore. It was built to win. Inside, Captain Elias Crow stood before a screen that showed the map of the galaxy. Dots of red-marked council worlds, dots of green-marked human colonies. He tapped a command, and a third set of dots appeared. Blue ones, hidden bases, secret outposts, weapons the council didn't know existed. A young officer stepped in. "Sir, all fleet units are ready." Crow nodded. "Any word from the council?" "No, sir." As expected, they ignored the elder's warning. Crow smiled without joy. "Good. That gives us the element of surprise." He turned toward the crew, standing ready in silence. Each one had a reason to be there. Lost families, broken homes, forgotten colonies. None of them trusted the council anymore, and none of them wanted peace. "Not now." Crow raised his voice, steady and calm. "They laughed at the elder," he said. "They think we're weak." He walked slowly between the crew, looking each one in the eye. "But they forgot one thing. We don't need to be many." He pointed at the screen, where the council's capital system glowed. "We just need to be enough." The crew saluted, silent and focused. Crow gave the final order: "Prepare for warp, target, Axis Prime. Phase 1 begins now." Back in the council chamber, the leaders were still talking. Some joked about the elder's face. Others planned meetings for trade and politics. No one noticed that the stars above their capital planet had shifted slightly. No one knew that a black shadow had already entered their skies. No alarms rang. No warnings flashed, because the Invictus didn't use normal warp paths. It had created its own, deep and silent, and by the time they saw it, it would be far too late. The elder sat alone in his ship, watching from a distance. He closed his eyes and whispered, "It begins." Darkness filled the void between stars, but something moved within it. Silent, massive, and unseen. Not even the long-range council. Scanners could detect it properly. The images were broken, scattered, filled with strange static. But one thing was clear. A shape, black and huge, moving in ways no known ship ever had. Council Command tried to analyze it. The AI systems gave up, calling the data corrupted, but a single blurry image came through, and when it reached the elders, one of them dropped his crystal cup. It was just a shadow of a ship, but the elder knew that shape. Project Titanus, he whispered, almost afraid to say it aloud. That name had been locked away in ancient files. It was a Terran warship project, cancelled a century ago. Too powerful, too dangerous, even for humans. The last report said the Titanus prototype had been destroyed in an accident. But now, it was back inside the Titanus-class vessel, called Invictus. There was no celebration, only quiet preparations. Engineers in exosuits moved across the hangar decks, checking coil guns, testing plasma bays. Machines whispered to machines. The AI core, named Aura, was awake and watching every inch of the ship. In the command center, Captain Elias Crow stood still, his arms behind his back. The screen in front of him showed Council territory. Each system marked with red rings, and deep inside them, their biggest prize, Axis Prime, the Council's capital world. Are the new cloaking fields holding? Crow asked. Aura responded in a calm voice. Yes, Captain. We are invisible. Crow's eyes didn't blink. We begin the real game now, he said. At that same moment, a Council scout ship called Varnex 4 flew near the outer zone of System K3. They weren't looking for anything important, just mapping space routes, until one of the crew shouted, "Something just passed us." But there was nothing on the radar, just a flash of movement, fast, smooth, cold. Then the ship's lights blinked, and all the screens turned off for exactly 6 seconds. When the power returned, every crew member found the same message on their main console. Watch your skies. We are already here. The Council panicked. They called it a prank, a software error, a false signal. But deep down, the fear had started to grow. The elders weren't laughing anymore. They held secret meetings, asked their spies to find the source. What they found made their blood freeze. A secret human base on a dead moon, forgotten by most, had suddenly gone dark. And in its place, an empty crater, smooth as glass, still warm. No blast marks, said the investigator. Just gone. And nearby, orbiting in the shadows of the gas giant, was something massive, invisible to their tech. When they fired a probe at it, the probe simply vanished, not destroyed, just disappeared from existence. Back on the Invictus, Aura spoke softly to Crow. Council sensors detected our presence for 0.8 seconds. Let them, Crow replied. A little fear is useful. He walked down to the war briefing room where his officers stood waiting. Each one was elite. Fighters, hackers, tacticians, all chosen not just for skill, but for loyalty. Everything we do now must feel like magic to them, Crow said. They must believe we are shadows, gods, ghosts. He pointed to a holomap showing Axis Prime. We strike in phases and we do not take prisoners. But sir, asked one officer, shouldn't we issue a formal demand first? Warn them? Crow's expression hardened. They were warned 200 years ago, he said, and they laughed. Across Council space, quiet terror spread. Ships reported strange signals. Cities lost power for seconds. Orbital satellites began to vanish. The enemy was unseen, and that made them dangerous, and every whispered rumor came with the same word. Humanity, the Council finally held a war meeting. Urgent, closed, no recordings allowed. The head of military, Grand Commander. Voss slammed a data pad on the table. This is madness, he growled. The humans were barely in space last century. Now they hack our systems and erase ships? The Seraph ambassador leaned forward, his voice low. They are using weapons we do not understand. But worse, said another. They are using tactics we've never seen. Then a signal came through, encrypted, ancient and clear. A face appeared on the central screen. Admiral Elias Crow, older now, colder. He simply said one line, "This is not a war, it's a reckoning." Then the message ended, and every light in the room flickered. Every leader suddenly understood something. The humans hadn't just returned, they had been watching for years, preparing in silence. And now, the storm had begun. The ship that shouldn't exist had come back, and it was no longer hiding, it was hunting. No one heard the first scream, because it came from a moon that didn't scream. Jora X7 was a peaceful capital moon in the heart of Council territory, covered in white marble towers, glowing gardens, and floating parks. It was where the richest aliens lived, where diplomats smiled and children played in artificial sunlight. No war had ever touched Jora X7, until the night the sky forgot how to shine. At exactly 03:12 local time, every star above the moon disappeared, one by one. They blinked out, silent, smooth, no warning. The moon's main observatory sent alerts, but no one answered. Satellites spun out of control. Comms went dead. Defense shields froze. Then the lights in the capital city dimmed to a low red, not off, not broken, just lowered, as if something was watching. The people panicked, but the military stayed calm. They thought it was a glitch, maybe a local system failure. They were wrong. An emergency team launched a small shuttle to scan orbit. They never returned. The feed from their ship showed a strange fog in space, black and crawling. Then the signal cut, mid-sentence, mid-breath. A backup fleet was dispatched from the nearby system of Urox. It was fast, full of proud warships from 7 different species. They expected to arrive and fix the problem, maybe scare off a pirate. Instead, they found a moon that had been rearranged. From orbit, it looked normal, but the closer they got, the more things felt wrong. The buildings were still standing, but empty. No life signals, no transmissions, no heat readings. One commander ordered a landing. The dropships reached the surface and soldiers stepped into silent streets. A golden fountain still flowed in the center of the city. A child's toy floated in the air, frozen in place by anti-grav. But no people, no animals, no voices, just silence. Then the soldiers looked up and they saw it. Hundreds of black drones, sitting motionless on building tops, not flying, not moving, just watching. The moment the soldier raised his scanner, all drones activated, but they didn't attack. Instead, they projected a hologram, a single human figure standing still. He wore black armor, no helmet. His face was clear, young, but with cold eyes. He spoke in perfect galactic common. "This moon was your test," he said. "You failed." Then all the drones exploded, harmlessly, into a dust of nanobots. The soldiers tried to report back, but their ships had already vanished, literally gone, not destroyed, just erased from orbit. Back in Council Command, alarms screamed. The moon's data logs were corrupted. Live feeds showed only static. One senior officer cried out, "How does an entire moon go quiet?" They sent stealth probes next. Machines that had never been tracked before, each one disappeared seconds after entry. But one made it back, carrying a single video. In it, the Invictus appeared above the moon. It didn't fire a single shot. Instead, it opened massive energy wings, sails made of raw plasma that shimmered like fire. The wings expanded and blinded every orbital sensor for a full 2 minutes. When they closed, the moon was already lost. A message played at the end of the video in the same human voice. "We will not destroy your worlds," it said. "We will remove them from your control." The council called an emergency meeting. They argued, shouted, blamed one another. "This was psychological warfare," said one general. "No," said an elder, shaking. "This was a demonstration." In a quiet corner of the room, a small monitor buzzed. A technician played the most recent intercepted signal. It was soft, barely a whisper, but every translator confirmed the words, "Phase 2 begins soon." No one slept that night. No one laughed anymore. The elders stood in silence, remembering a time long ago when Earth had sent out its first call into the stars. A message of peace, of curiosity, of welcome. And the council had ignored it, or worse, mocked it. Now the humans had returned, not with a message, But with a lesson, on Jora X7, the marble towers still stood, the fountains still flowed, but there was no one left to see them. No graves, no blood, no smoke, only stillness. The moon had become a ghost, and floating high above in deep, invisible orbit, the Invictus waited. Its engines were silent. But inside the ship, weapons were being loaded, codes were being updated, and Captain Elias Crow stared at the stars, stars that once shined above Earth. He whispered to no one. They should have listened to the Elder. And then he gave the next order. Set. Course for Axis Prime. The reckoning was far from over. It had only just begun. The Helix Nebula glowed like a living storm, swirling with blue gas and silent fire. It was supposed to be empty space, quiet, unimportant, a dead zone. But now it held the largest fleet the Galactic Council had ever built. Over 1,000 ships, floated together. Cruisers, dreadnoughts, assault barges, even a mobile black hole cannon. Each one armed, powered, ready for battle. They had all come here for one reason. To end the ghost that haunted them, to crush the human warship known only as Invictus. The Council believed this was the only chance. They had tracked strange warp echoes here, patterns too advanced for Council. Tech. One scan had briefly revealed a large heat signature. Something massive was hiding in the gas. So they came, ready to surround it, trap it, destroy it. Inside the Council's command ship Vorak Prime, Admiral Sareth stood tall, arms crossed. He looked at the glowing nebula on the screen. She's in there, he said. One ship, maybe, two. Should we open fire blindly? Asked his officer. No, Sareth replied. We play this smart. We force them to show themselves. He gave the order. Dozens of Council ships began launching beacons and signal drones into the cloud. Each beacon scanned, pinged, and pulsed, searching for any sign of movement. They found nothing. Just empty, space and swirling color. Then one of the drones turned back. On its own, it sent a message not programmed into it, one word. Hello? Sareth's eyes narrowed. Was that a trick? Another officer shouted. Sir, Drone 47 just vanished right before the camera cut. And now 22, 31, 61. They're all going dark, sir. In under 5 minutes, 50 drones were gone, not shot, not destroyed, just gone. Then all screens on all Council ships turned black, and one image appeared on every screen, every device, every helmet visor. A simple outline of Earth, with a red countdown ticking below it. 10, 9, 8, shut it off, Sareth shouted, but the ships didn't respond. Their systems were jammed, not from the outside, but from inside. Then the countdown reached 0, and the void exploded. Out of the nebula came Invictus, roaring like a beast from the depths of a dark sea. Its black armor glowed red with heat, but not from weapons. Its hull generated energy fields as it moved. 2 massive railguns unfolded from its sides, followed by missile bays that rotated like spinning blades. It didn't fire. At first, it just flew directly into the center of the fleet. Through them, ships scattered, some crashing into each other, others firing wildly. But the Invictus was too fast, too smart. Aura, its AI, predicted every shot before it was fired. Turrets spun automatically, taking down enemy missiles before they even armed. Then came the real weapon. The hull of the Invictus shifted, panel sliding away to reveal a long cannon. Not a laser, not plasma, a hypercoil railgun. The first shot tore through 3 Council cruisers in a single line. No explosion, just clean, silent destruction. The second shot was worse. It cut off the front half of a dreadnought, which drifted away like a floating corpse. Admiral Sareth tried to regroup. All ships, encircle it, fire everything. Thousands of beams lit up the nebula, the gas clouds glowing with fire, but none of it hit the Invictus. It had activated its phase shift armor. For 5 seconds at a time, it could step sideways through normal space. Weapons passed through it like air. By the time the Council figured it out, it was too late. A second railgun fired from the bottom of the Invictus. This one aimed not at ships, but the black hole cannon itself. The cannon exploded in a blue-white blast, sucking 4 nearby ships into its gravity as it collapsed. On board Vorak Prime, Admiral Sareth finally realized. "This isn't a warship," he whispered. "It's a message." Then a comms line opened. Without permission, Captain Elias Crow appeared, calm and sharp-eyed. "You had your warning," he said. "This was mercy," Sareth shouted back. "We'll fight to the last ship." Crow nodded. "You already have." With one final surge, the Invictus launched its final strike. From hidden ports on its back, a cloud of stealth drones scattered into space. They didn't explode. They climbed onto enemy ships and disabled engines, cracked hulls, and scrambled nav data. The Council fleet fell apart, ship by ship, like glass breaking underwater. Some retreated, others drifted without control. The Invictus vanished again into the gas, silent, untouched. And just like that, it was over. Only 35 Council ships remained, all damaged, all confused. Sareth stood in silence, watching fire and broken metal float in every direction. No one spoke, no one cheered. From deep space, a final message came through. A simple sentence: "You are not fighting humans, you are fighting Earth." And far away, Earth watched silently. It had not forgotten the past, and now it was writing a new future, one battle at a time across the void. With fire, silence, and warships made of nightmares, the Galactic Council chamber was never silent. It was a place of endless arguments, booming voices, and the sound of hundreds of different languages. But today, silence ruled. The great hall stood frozen, the leaders staring at the central screen where a human face had appeared. It was a man, older, with gray in his beard and eyes sharp as blades. He did not shout, he did not threaten. He simply looked at them, and the entire council felt fear. "Who is he?" one delegate whispered. The answer came from the oldest elder in the room. "Admiral Elias Crow," he said quietly. "I knew him many years ago." Gasps echoed across the chamber. Crow smiled faintly, though there was no warmth in it. "You've already seen what we can do," he said. "But you still believe this is just a war of ships and weapons." He raised his hand, and the screen shifted. A recording played. It was old, grainy, but clear enough. An elder speaking 2 centuries earlier. His voice was low, almost trembling. "If Earth ever reaches the stars," the elder said, "do not challenge them. Do not provoke them. Do not laugh at them." The recording ended. Crow's voice cut through the silence. "That warning was given long before I was born," he said. "And still you ignored it." Council leaders shifted uneasily, their voices rising in anger. "This is manipulation," one shouted. "Fake. Recordings," another barked. But deep down, none of them believed their own words. Crow leaned closer, his face filling the screen. "We don't want your planets," he said. "We don't want your riches, your thrones, or your trade." He paused, letting the silence burn. "We only want you to stop pretending we won't take them if we decide to." A sudden ripple spread. Across the chamber, some leaders shouted for war. Others whispered of surrender, and in the shadows, the elders looked at each other with eyes full of old memories. They had seen this before, long ago, when humans had fought their ground wars with fire and steel. They remembered how humans never quit, never gave up, even when outnumbered, and now humanity had ships, weapons, and an admiral who carried those same old instincts. Crow raised one last message. A star map appeared behind him, showing Council space. Green dots flickered across dozens of systems. "These are your weaknesses," he said. "We've known them for years." One by one, the green dots turned red, bases, colonies, stations, all blinking offline, right as the Council watched. Crow didn't press a button, didn't give an order. The attacks were already happening, silent, unstoppable. Then his face faded from the screen, and the chamber erupted in chaos. "Lies!" shouted some. "Proof!" shouted others. One delegate slammed the floor with his staff, his voice shaking. "They are inside our networks. They are inside our space." But in a corner of the chamber, one elder remained quiet. He remembered the words of his ancestor, who had once fought humans on a distant battlefield. "They don't fight to win," his ancestor had said. "They fight to make sure the other side loses forever." That elder left the chamber without a word. He moved quickly, almost running. He ordered his ship prepared in secret. Unlike the Council, he did not laugh, he did not debate. He was going to Earth, not to fight, but to surrender. Meanwhile, aboard the Invictus, Crow watched the feed of the Council chamber. His officers looked at him with questions in their eyes. One finally asked, "Sir, why reveal yourself now? Why not stay hidden?" Crow's expression was cold. "Because fear alone is not enough," he said. "They need to understand that humanity doesn't beg for respect, we take it." The officer nodded, though uneasily. "And what if they surrender?" he asked. Crow gave a thin smile. "Then we'll decide if they deserve mercy." Across the galaxy, panic spread like fire. Council fleets scrambled, colonies armed themselves, but everywhere they turned, systems flickered and failed. Power, grids shut down, satellites blinked out, hidden human saboteurs revealed themselves, and over it all the same message kept appearing on every screen. The reckoning has begun. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council felt what lesser species had felt under them. Fear. The elders, silent and grim, knew the truth. The Council had already lost the war. The humans had simply decided when to let them realize it. And in the dark heart of the Invictus, Crow prepared for Phase 3, the destruction of Axis Prime itself. The moment when the galaxy would understand. The elders had been right all along. Humanity was unstoppable. The Council called it Operation Skynet, a desperate plan, a final gamble. Every ship they had left, over 1,000 strong, was sent toward Earth. The galaxy had never seen a fleet so large, a storm of dreadnoughts, carriers, and black hole weapons marching across the void. They thought Earth would be soft. They thought the homeworld would be weak, but they were wrong. The first wave entered the Sol system. They came fast, spreading across the outer planets. Neptune's orbit lit up with beacons. Uranus was scanned. Saturn was marked for staging. But when they reached Jupiter, everything changed. The gas giant storms opened, and out of them rose a weapon no one had seen before. It wasn't a ship, not a station. It was an orbital fortress the size of a moon. Old Terran tech fused with something new. Kinetic rods the size of skyscrapers hung beneath its belly. And when it fired, one rod dropped into space with a silent flash. It ripped straight through a Council battleship, cutting it in half without even exploding. Panic spread through the Council fleet. "What was that?" shouted one commander. "A weapon from hell," whispered another. More fortresses appeared, hidden across the system. One near Titan, one circling Mars, another deep in the asteroid belt. Each was armed with rods, nukes, stealth mines, and solar disruptors that could turn light into fire, and behind them waited Earth itself, wrapped in glowing shields that shimmered blue and green. The Council tried to regroup. They formed strike groups and attacked the fortresses, but each time they approached, human fleets appeared. Small, fast, brutal. Corvettes danced around. Heavy cruisers, bombers slipped through shields, and every missile hit its mark. The war became a game of chess. Every move the Council made was countered. Every trap they set was broken before it snapped. It was as if the humans already knew the plan. On board the flagship Vorik Prime, Admiral Sareth roared in frustration. "How are they predicting us? Who is feeding them our strategy?" His officers stared in fear, because the truth was worse than betrayal. It wasn't a spy. It was preparation. On the bridge of Invictus, Captain Elias Crow stood calm. Aura, the ship's AI, displayed a map of the Council fleet. "Admiral," Aura said, "their formations match predicted pattern Delta 9. Crow nodded slowly. "Exactly as planned." The officers looked at one another. "You mean, we knew they'd come here?" Crow's voice was steel. "We knew 10 years ago." The revelation spread across the ship. Humanity had been preparing for this war long before the Council even realized it was possible. Every fortress, every minefield, every shield, built in secret, hidden until today. The humans hadn't been reacting, they had been waiting. Back in the battle, the Council tried to push toward Earth. They threw everything forward, sacrificing ships, opening paths. And at last, they broke through the outer defense ring. The Skies above Earth filled with alien warships. The capital planet was finally within their grasp. But what they saw froze them in place. Earth was not a green and blue jewel of weakness. It was a fortress, cities hidden beneath armored domes, oceans filled with submersible launch silos, mountains alive with rail cannons, and above it all, glowing like fire, hung the doom shields, massive energy nets stretched across orbit, weaving. Between satellites and stations, the first Council ship that touched the shield melted instantly, its hull running like liquid metal. The fleet pulled back in shock. What kind of shield is that? A commander cried. It isn't a shield. Another whispered. It's a weapon. Crow's voice then appeared across every channel, calm and sharp. You thought Earth was defenseless, he said. You thought we were children playing. At war? He leaned closer to the screen. But this is not the Earth you mocked centuries ago. The Invictus emerged from the shadows, its massive hull dwarfing every Council ship in orbit. The railguns glowed, drones spread like dark wings, and the doom shields pulsed brighter. Behind it, more human ships arrived, battlecruisers, carriers, swarms of corvettes, not one fleet but several. The Council realized with horror, they hadn't reached Earth's last defense. They had only walked into the heart of Earth's trap. Begin Phase 3, Crow ordered. The human fleet surged forward, and the sky above Earth became fire. Alien ships burned, fortresses roared, railguns tore holes through dreadnoughts. The Council's great fleet began to collapse, not because it was weak, but because the humans had been ready for them, step by step, move by move. A terrified alien commander sent one last message back to Axis Prime. It's not just their weapons, he whispered as his ship cracked in two. It's their spirit. They fight like nothing we've ever seen. And then the transmission ended in static. The Sky War had begun, and the galaxy was learning a truth the Elders already knew. Humanity wasn't just defending Earth. They were showing the universe that they could not be stopped. The alien fleet finally broke through the outer defense line. They had lost hundreds of ships to orbital fortresses, kinetic rods, and hidden ambushes. But still, they pushed forward. Now they floated above Earth, itself looking down on the blue planet that had haunted their dreams. For a moment, the commanders felt relief. We made it, one whispered. The homeworld is exposed. But that hope lasted only seconds, because Earth was not exposed. It was waiting. From orbit, Earth looked like a shining jewel, covered in oceans and green land. But under the surface, it was something else entirely. Cities weren't soft targets. They were buried in armored bunkers, their skylines hidden beneath retractable shields. Every mountain range hid missile silos. Every desert hid laser arrays. Even the oceans rippled with faint blue light. Submarine war machines, hundreds of them, waiting below. The alien fleet opened fire. Plasma beams and energy bolts rained down toward the planet. But before they could hit, the doom shields lit up. Energy nets stretched across orbit, shimmering bright. The weapons didn't just stop, they melted, twisting into liquid fire before vanishing. Ships caught too close to. The shields disintegrated in silence, their crews never even able to scream. The commanders froze in horror. What kind of defense is this? One shouted. It isn't defense, another said softly. It's punishment. Then Earth fought back. From underground bunkers, massive railguns fired rods that tore through dreadnought hulls. From the oceans, stealth submarines launched, missiles that turned carriers into burning wrecks. And from orbit, satellites fired down beams of pure solar energy, slicing enemy ships apart. Still, the aliens tried to fight. They fired everything they had. But no matter where they turned, Earth struck harder, faster. The sky above the planet turned red with fire. The oceans boiled with wreckage. Alien ships fell like meteors into forests, mountains, and seas. And yet the most terrifying thing wasn't the weapons, it was the people. When the aliens managed to land on the surface, expecting terrified civilians, they found soldiers instead. Every man, every woman, even children, trained, armed, and ready. They fought not with fear, but with fire in their eyes. A small alien strike team tried to capture a human settlement, but the settlement turned out to be a trap. Houses opened to reveal gun turrets, streets collapsed to reveal underground tunnels, and in minutes, the strike team was gone. Reports came back to the Council fleet. Earth's civilians are fighting like soldiers. Every city is a fortress. Every human is an enemy. One alien commander watched in shock as his forces were overwhelmed by ordinary humans, using captured alien weapons. "They don't break," he whispered. "They don't break." Above the planet, the Invictus appeared once more. Its massive hull cast a shadow across the battlefield. The railguns glowed, its stealth drones swarmed, but it didn't fire right away. It let the aliens watch the planet destroy them. On the bridge, Captain Elias Crow stood calm. "They thought Earth was weak," he said. "They thought we were prey." He turned to his crew, his voice like iron. "Now they'll learn what happens when you push humanity to the wall." The crew nodded, silent, fierce. And then the Invictus unleashed its fury. A single shot from its main railgun tore through 4 alien battleships. Its drones disabled carriers, hacked their weapons, and turned them against their allies. In less than an hour, the great fleet that had crossed half the galaxy was burning. Some tried to retreat, but Earth's gravity well had been turned into a weapon. Hidden satellites controlled the pull of the planet's magnetic field, dragging ships down one by one. Massive dreadnoughts fell screaming into the atmosphere, exploding like dying suns. A surviving alien commander sent one last message to Axis Prime. His voice trembled, broken by static. "It's not just their weapons," he whispered. "It's not just their ships. It's their spirit, their will, their refusal to fall." Then his ship exploded in the upper atmosphere, scattering into fire and ash. When the last alien ship was gone, silence fell over Earth. The sky cleared, the doom shields dimmed. The oceans grew calm again, but every human knew it wasn't over. This was just one battle. The Council still stood, and Axis Prime was still untouched. On board the Invictus, Crow stood at the main viewport watching the wreckage burn in orbit. He clenched his fists. "They wanted to see Earth," he said, his voice quiet but sharp. "Now they'll remember it." And then he gave the next order. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "Phase 4 begins. It's time to bring the war to Axis Prime." And in the silence of space, the humans prepared to strike the very heart of the galaxy. For Earth was no longer defending. It was hunting. The heart of the galaxy was burning. Axis Prime, the shining jewel of the Galactic Council, once called eternal, now trembled. Its skies were filled with warships, its spaceports glowing with endless fire. For the first time in its long history, the Council's homeworld was under attack. The humans had arrived, not with words, not with treaties, but with fleets of steel and fire. The Invictus led the charge, its dark hull reflecting the burning light of Axis Prime's twin suns. Behind, it came hundreds of human warships, battle cruisers, carriers, corvettes, each one scarred but unbroken. The Council still had numbers. They had rebuilt fleets, deployed dreadnoughts, even awakened forbidden weapons locked away for centuries. Black hole bombs, AI assassins, gravity disruptors, all hurled at humanity in desperation. But humanity did not stop. Every weapon that touched them was countered, twisted, or turned back. The Invictus's AI, aura, tore through enemy codes like silk. Council drones became blind, their shields collapsed, their ships turned into targets. Above Axis Prime, the sky became a graveyard of burning metal. The human railguns roared, piercing the thickest dreadnought armor. Missiles spiraled through enemy shields, detonating. Inside hangars and stealth drones slipped through the chaos, planting bombs on command ships before vanishing again. Inside the council chamber, fear ruled. The once proud leaders shouted, argued, begged. Some demanded peace. Others called for final weapons to be unleashed. But the elders sat silent. They had seen this coming. They remembered the warnings, and now the prophecy was fulfilled. At the edge of the chamber, a great door opened, and a massive screen flickered to life. On it appeared Admiral Elias Crow, calm, sharp, eyes like a storm. He looked at the council without a smile. "This is the end," he said simply. "You were warned centuries ago. You laughed. You mocked. Now you will fall." The leaders shouted back, "You cannot destroy us. We are the council." Crow's face remained still. "The council was already dead," he said. "You just didn't notice it yet." Outside, the battle raged. The council unleashed their strongest weapon, a dimensional splitter, a device meant to tear ships out of reality itself. It was aimed at the Invictus, but Aura was faster. The Invictus pulsed its shield, bending the attack back toward its source. The weapon ripped through the council's own fortress ship, tearing it apart in a flash of blue fire. On Axis Prime's surface, panic filled the streets. Civilians fled to bunkers. Soldiers tried to hold the lines. But the humans did not bomb cities. They did not slaughter the weak. They struck only the symbols of power, the fortresses, the command towers, the fleets in orbit. Humanity wanted the council destroyed, not the galaxy itself. At last, the Invictus broke through the last defense line. It drifted above Axis Prime's capital tower, the council's seat of power. Its railguns charged, its drones hovered, but no shots were fired. Instead, Crow's voice thundered across every channel, heard in every ship, every city, every mind that had a receiver. "This is humanity," he said. "We do not come as conquerors. We come as reckoners." He paused, his voice turning colder. "You believed we were myths. You believed we were weak. You believed we were nothing. And now you see the truth. Humanity cannot be stopped." Inside the chamber, silence reigned. The elders bowed their heads, knowing the truth. One whispered, "The council is finished." Another added, "The galaxy belongs to them now." Then, one by one, alien leaders stood, their eyes heavy with defeat. "We surrender," said the first, then another and another until nearly all had spoken. Only a few stubborn voices cried out for war, but their words were drowned by the sound of surrender. At that moment, Crow stepped through the great doors. He was not a hologram this time. He walked in flesh, flanked by armored soldiers of Earth. He climbed the steps of the council chamber slowly, deliberately, and when he reached the highest seat, the golden throne of the council, he did not sit. He looked at it, then turned his back. "Next time," he said softly, his voice echoing in the silent chamber, "listen to your elders." Outside Axis, Prime's skies cleared. The battle was over. The great fleets burned to ash. The council had fallen, and the galaxy would never be the same. But in the shadows of the chamber, a young alien delegate watched, her eyes wide, her hands trembling. "They are unstoppable," she whispered, "but maybe we can learn from them." And thus, as humanity stood victorious, the seeds of something new were planted. Not just fear, not just awe, but the beginning of respect. The day the council fell was not only the day humanity won, it was the day the galaxy finally understood what the elders had always known. Humanity was unstoppable,